All right, today is May 13th, 2014. Calling the town board meeting to order at 7:05. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we got some business. No, it's not that. I have a pretty good amount of work to get done tonight. So the first piece is we're going to open up for public comment on a local law imposing an extension on a temporary moratorium on permits for projects in the C1, C2, and I-zone districts requiring special use permits or accessory structures associated with that they're within. So it's been posted. It was in a Gazette. It's attached to the. It's on the front 2 pages, 2.5 pages of the agenda. So you read the whole thing? So again, it's the local law is on the agenda. If not, then the town clerk has it in her office. So at this time, I'll open the floor up for public comment on the moratorium, the extension of the moratorium. So I'll open it up at 7:07. So I will take a few seconds to go over it a little bit. So, as you know, we passed a comprehensive plan which calls for the promotion and development of town center and hamlet areas in town, in particular the gateway areas of the town adjacent to the towns of Rotterdam and Gilderland. The town board is in the process of amending the zoning law to make it consistent with the comprehensive plan. To that end, the town board is appointing a zoning review committee led by Chairperson Paul, there he is, Paul Golding. The ZRC has met, including meetings with stakeholders and drafting language for the zoning law amendments that will be presented for review and comment by the Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, and Princetown Town Board. Town Board finds that significant commercial development in C1, C2, and I zoning districts prior to the amendment of the zoning law may substantially reduce the effectiveness of any amendments to the zoning law and lessen the ability of the town to develop town centers and hamlets in the targeted areas. If significant development in those areas proceeds before the zoning is amended, it will lessen the ability of the town to plan for its orderly development and to protect the public health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of the town of Princetown. At a regularly scheduled meeting of the town board of the town of Princetown held on December 10th, 2013, Princetown Town Board adopted local law number 3, 2013, which is identical to the current law except with respect to section 1, purpose and effective date. This local law is necessary to provide sufficient time for the ZRC and the town board to complete its revisions of the zoning code in compliance with state law and adequate opportunity for public input. So that's kind of the short form. I did just pass out, and here's Mike's and one for Bob and Sandy. Recommendations from the planning board, so I'll read that off. Memorandum to Supervisor Joyce and council members Esposito, Gray, Drzezinski, and Myers from Pat Bishop. In response to the town board's request for recommendation, the planning board reviewed the language for proposed local law 1/2014 extension of a temporary moratorium on permits for projects in C1, C2, and I-zone districts requiring special use permits or accessory structures associated therewithin. The planning board voted in favor 5-0 of extending the moratorium until changes to the commercial zoning can be made that bring it in compliance with guidance and recommendations in the new comprehensive plan. So we have the support of the planning board. Any comment? All right, if there's no comments, I'm going to close it for tonight, but I'm going to leave the open meeting, public hearing open till June 10th. As part of the process, we submitted our referral to the county, and we have not heard back from them. And typically, 30 days, that's their answer. Their answer is, no answer. But just to make sure and double check it, we'll give another 4 or 5 weeks or 4 weeks to June 10th, which is actually the effective date, so we should be okay. To allow the county to comment if necessary. Okay, no comments? I'm going to close the open or public comment at 7:13. All right. I'm now going to open the floor up to, regular public comment from town business, town agenda. Privileges of the floor. Because we have a pretty aggressive schedule tonight, I'm going to skip reading the privileges. The rules are there. Try to keep your comments fairly short and to the point. So we'll open it up at, again, 7:14. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to address the board on my thoughts that I missed late. I should have brought to the board. And my name, Marv Lessing, 1178 Griffith Church Road. High end of town, I guess, tax-wise. But in any event, we had a thing going here, and I should have addressed the board onto it, and I contacted one of the councilmen, and he in turn passed me off to your water commissioner. And we're gonna try to do this Sunday, actually paint the hydrants in Water District 1. They're kind of shabby, and it's all being done actually by volunteers or my grandson, which is in the Duanesburg Esperance Boy Scouts. Hopefully, if they get enough people, they'll be able to get Water District 1 done. Probably 100 hydrants thereabouts, so it's not a real easy job. If you look at Pangret Road and some of the places around, they're kind of shabby, and that's why they came up with it to, I thought it was a good idea, and then I brought it up to one of the councilmen, and I immediately went to George. And of course, George has a lot of paperwork, a lot of state bureaucracy to keep the water district running. So he doesn't have a lot of time to paint hydrants, but there's a notice on the bulletin board, and thought whatever they get done, hopefully they'll get all of Water District 1 done this Sunday or the following Saturday or Sunday. It's George is the lead, and along with my grandson working together. And that's all I have for that. The other thing I would like to mention is I think, and I haven't heard anything from the board on the actual building permits, on the cost of the building permits. It's been pretty ridiculous, the price. Cost me $2,500 for getting one house down and getting another one up, plus the harassment of having Don, our building inspector, on me all the time. And my son also put up a barn, 50 by 81, and I think Councilman Gray had mentioned that he was kind of unhappy with it, and I haven't heard anything from him. It was about $100,000 for that building, wasn't it?
It's over
Mr. Gray?
1,200.
1,200.
Over 1,200.
For a barn. So I mean, the building inspector just had to come for a whole barn and come and look and a few times and say, yeah, the holes are 7 foot or 8 foot, whatever they had to be. And I think that's kind of expensive to put up a barn. And so, you know, maybe instead of tweaking your E-code later, you should get it tweaked before you act on it, or soon thereafter. Just a suggestion, and I hope this works out. I think it would beautify the, you know, the nostalgia and the betterment of the town, really. Thank you.
He's looking for volunteers to help, if anybody would like to help.
Yeah. When are you gonna do it?
All right, on the other thing, this Sunday they have planned, I believe, I don't know, George is not here tonight, but they're planning on doing it starting Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. Anyone that has a hydrant in front of their house, it'd be nice if they trim the grass. Trim the grass around the bottom. Hopefully there's no bees under the bonnet, or what we call the bonnet, the top portion where it turns. The bees have a great habit to making a home underneath that. And believe it or not, we do have, and looking around, or myself looking around, and other people, we do have one town resident that keeps his hydrant cleaned out every winter, every time he does his driveway, and he also paints it. So I think that's, you know, if you look around, you'll see it. It's not me, but he does paint it.
Marv, that's, my dad, isn't that the Boy Scouts that are doing that?
Right, that is the Boy Scouts. My grandson is the lead on the Boy Scouts from Duanesburg. So,
That's great.
any other questions about it, or?
If you can give me, you know, when they're done, or the Boy Scout troop leader's name or something, I can write a letter, you know, to him for town and say thanks.
Okay, I can, well, there's one of the notes, like on the board, one of these on the board.
Okay.
And it says it's Nick Corner, Eagle Scout.
Okay.
from Noensburg.
Where's everybody gonna start Sunday?
They're gonna meet here.
Right at Town Hall?
Gonna meet right here at the gazebo, correct?
Oh, okay.
So hopefully the weather will hold out.
You want to
I
turn
don't know,
away
we'll see.
councilman?
Pardon?
You want to turn away councilman?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Can you hold the paintbrush?
Yeah, I think there was a time.
Okay. You know, I just thought, make it known if anybody wanted to volunteer, and that should work out good for everybody.
Mhm.
8 o'clock.
Yeah,
That's what they said.
that's what they set up, 8 in the morning.
Okay.
So, that's been, 14 years, 12, 14 years
Yeah.
that water district has been in. And the manufacturers, as everybody else knows, never paints anything to last too long. So, any little help they can get, like I say, even if it's just one hydrant or your hydrant, clean your grass around it,
Perfect.
Thank you. Any other questions? Or?
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
All right, additional comments? Privileges of the floor, thoughts?
I have some thoughts. Pat Bishop, Chair of the Planning Board. I just wanted to take a few moments to thank Heather Erwiller for all her wonderful work that she's done here for the town in the past, how long have you been here, 9 months or so?
9 months.
I don't know, you probably all know by now that Heather's finishing up her master's degree at the University of Albany, and she's, unfortunately for us, taken a job back in Citrus County, Florida, where she had originally worked for a number of years before she came back up here to do her master's degree. We were very lucky to kind of get her in the middle of her finishing her master's and before she decided to go back south. And she has just, she was our planner for a little while, then she took the job and decided, she was going to go. We hired Laura in place of her, but I just have to say, I personally have never seen anyone work as hard as Heather and devote so many hours and, all her energies and expertise into this town. And all the work she's done has just been phenomenal. And I want to personally thank her, as the planning chair, but also as a friend, and I think she's become to me and all of us here. And I just wish her the best of luck in going back to Florida and, hoping she'll keep in contact with us. I think she's going to probably do a little work on the side for us, but I just want to, again, say thank you and good luck in the future.
Thank you.
Additional comments? Okay, we'll close the privileges of the floor at 7:24. Start open up for business. It doesn't look like highways here. We need to get the highway commissioner to write some letters, especially on River Drive. That piece of property that had the ice problem in front of it. I'm not sure we need to try to address that again. We don't have any movement on the funding, so. And I don't know if Nick has started a summer program or what his thoughts are about doing projects around the town for the summer. But I guess I'll reach out and talk to him. Water Department, George actually had a really long day yesterday. There was a leak in one of the tanks, he was working on that, and then one of his pumps went, and then there was a fire on Quackenbush last night, so he probably did a 16-hour day or plus, so I'm sure he's just catching up on his rest. So I guess not much more from water department. Code enforcement, guys, we need to get somebody. There's a couple more resumes in your inbox. The line is getting deeper, and I'm getting calls like every day. And actually, I had a call last night from Wes, looking for somebody to board up the house. So I called quick response, and they went out. I don't know, are they knocking that house down, or?
It's up to the state, he turned it over to the state, to the fire inspectors from the state, because it's a possible arson.
Really?
Impossible, I said. So, it's up to them then to kind of release it. He was, actually, he was done, and he would turn it over, to the assessor, so to speak. Or the building inspector, I'm sorry. He would turn it over to the building inspector, and then, being we don't have a building inspector, you're the next cat to get shot at. So,
Well put, Larry.
Ouch. Well, I did talk to Mr. Nuzbeck, I guess, last night, and the back wall is completely gone, so I'm not sure how much boarding they can do without rebuilding, but anyway.
well, the amazing, of course, it's not open to the floor. The amazing part, when my wife and I were here last night, she went by the house and looked at the house. There was absolutely nothing. When Holmes set up the VCR to record a recorder, came back 10 minutes later, and her and a neighbor seen it fully involved. And that was the first of the call that was turned in.
Yeah.
And I think you remember us sitting in the back
I think it was
of the meeting last time. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, so we need to, if you guys are available, whenever you're available, I'd like to do maybe Saturday 9 o'clock. We gotta do some more interviews. We need to pick somebody pretty quick. Or put another ad in the paper, but we need to be aggressively looking for some help. I still have not seen, we hear anything from Dwaynesburg? So Dwaynesburg's been promising a contract for 6 weeks now, and we've got nothing, so we need to move forward. And again, like I said, Wes has wants to get a permit. There's a bunch of people going to get permits, so I'm getting calls every day. Yeah, we good. He said,
I thought they said that they had the thing all done, that you had to go up there and pick it up. Isn't that what they said, Louis, when we were there?
the US mail's broken.
I thought they said it was with their truck.
Well, he sent the note last week or last Tuesday that whatever their town board was, he was running through the town board for approval. But, they have an existing contract with Esperance.
Mike, you can have our town engineer, I believe, be the building inspector temporarily. That's something that we've considered before and never did because, the rate's pretty high, but if you need somebody, on a very short-term basis, with Donald Engineering can, right, Mike? I mean, that, Doug's told me that a number of times that they can fill in if needed.
Okay.
So if you need somebody like right away and are willing to put out a few bucks just to get a few things done right away, you may be able to use that until you get somebody on board.
Okay, that's a good thought. Maybe let's call them tomorrow and at least start setting up so that some of the residents can come in and make their applications. So you guys available Saturday, 9 o'clock? I'll send out a note. Doug, and Lou, I'm assuming that's good?
I'm not really sure yet. Might have a doctor's appointment.
All right. I think you got the resumes, though. If not,
I already read it.
Okay. So not much more on code enforcement. Justice, we probably want to take a second to introduce our new justice, Ms. Norm Miller. We appointed Norm at an agenda meeting. I would like to appoint him at a regular public meeting, but again, we needed to get moving forward pretty quickly on that, so welcome, Judge.
Thank you. I see Judge Caruso appointed the two justices for Rotterdam to the whole court in Princetown until June 30th. So in the meantime, town was pressured to get somebody. And since I've been in there, I've been going to sitting on the bench with the two judges in Rotterdam, as well as they alternate every other week here. And it's just interesting the amount of work that they do. Rotterdam, the slowest night I've had, they had 138 cases, and on the worst night they had was 315. Doesn't mean that everybody comes in, but that's what's on the docket. Princetown, as an example, seems to fluctuate between 37 and 46. The big issue that I have had since I've been in there is the fact that the previous judge before Judge Reynolds did not accept credit cards. And the two Rotterdam judges told me, you've got to have a credit card machine, because as I've seen, when people come into the court, you can only accept cash, credit card, or bank checks. And people don't know what the fine is going to be ahead of time, so they don't have bank checks. So we seem to have a fair amount of cash, where if you had a credit card machine, you know, the people would just pay by credit card. You can pay online, but people would prefer right here to pay by credit card. So tomorrow when Rebecca comes in, I think at 1 o'clock, we have a credit card company from Indianapolis will be doing a conference call with us to explain how it works, the cost and everything. So hopefully very quickly we will be able to accept credit card payments for the fines. The young lady that was hired, Rebecca Seeley,
No.
or not Seeley, Sheehan, to me Rebecca's, just does an incredible job. She's a very young girl, and both Rotterdam judges were concerned that we not, let her go, that we keep her. And in fact, when Lou and I met with the state police, you were there too, he was very concerned because she's just does an outstanding job. She is starting to get caught up with the filing. There's files out since last fall. I don't know why they were never brought up to date, but that was kind of a mess. The other thing that Rotterdam is trying to help us with is when Judge Reynolds took over, he didn't even have a paperclip. There were no forms, no nothing in the court. Everything was gone. And so the Rotterdam judges have been bringing forms in as they can think that they might need. They look at the docket and say, you may need this, you may need that. So they've been bringing those in. One of the problems is sometimes you'll have an odd case and it takes a particular form. You don't have the form here in the court. And in my opinion, it should be a turnkey operation. I don't care if it's the court, if it's the town clerk, if it's the assessor's office, planning. Whenever somebody leaves, this is taxpayer money. These offices are owned by the taxpayers. So when I leave, you can be sure everything will be left there. And the only other thing that I will say is I think you may be voting on the E-codes tonight. the court system, from chatting with the judges and learning it here, it's a modern world. Everything is electronic. The tickets come to us electronically. Forms are even printed out for the courtroom with, the computer electronically. Everything with the state is done electronically. So I would urge you to think about your E-code, and hopefully you can modernize Princetown, because the court couldn't operate without it. That's just the way life is today. And I think you're going to find that with planning and code enforcement, the day is right around the corner when you can't operate without that. And that's all I have, unless somebody has any questions for me.
No, let us know if there's anything, the board needs to do as far as the credit card machine goes.
Yeah, I'll put together a little report to you once we find out tomorrow. Then I have no idea what has to be done, but I think it should be fairly simple.
You get a phone line here, so I think it's just plug it in and away you go.
Do it, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Will did change that. The old court had had credit card pay online.
It's still there.
No,
It's a-
Will changed it.
Oh, he changed it.
Yeah, because now it's a module onto the court system. Before
Okay.
it was an independent, so it took a lot more work.
Okay.
I guess the question is going to be, we want to make sure that this credit card interfaces directly with the court system.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to go to our bank and we have to start, paying checks back and forth. It should go directly into it.
Rebecca will be doing the lead on it tomorrow because she works with both systems, so she,
Right.
yeah, I'll mention that to her, but I'm sure. Because I had mentioned to the guy, the representative, when I talked with him last week, about the state system. And he said, well, we do it with courts all over the state, so I'm sure they're.
Yeah, I'm sure it's pretty fluent. I do want to comment, or acknowledge, as you indicated, Rebecca Sheehan, the effort she's put in, and the amount of work she does. From a technology perspective, she got that office back up and running, pretty much by herself. So, she's done some great work, and like I say, now she's starting to catch up, so. Really good stuff, and she's another student, pursuing her degree too, so. Takes the bus here, and it's hard to say anything, but just all positive stuff for her. So, all right, any questions for the judge? Thank you, sir. Dog control, I don't think, I talked to Darla today, so no real updates. Town planner?
We've spent a fair amount of time, or I've spent a fair amount of time responding to building department type questions, and I've called back residents and answered what I can, but there are some projects that are not qualified to review or inspect, etc. So there's at least 4 project plans waiting for answers, and I've let Mike know about each of the projects as they come in. I explained to the residents that we're in transition, and the turnaround time might be longer than usual, and residents are getting antsy about getting permits and inspections to close out projects. As far as the planning department goes, we're continuing to work on our projects. We've collected an additional $250 in application fees this month. We're looking to close out another project, but we're waiting for finalized bills. And we continue to respond to residents calling with questions regarding their property and planning and zoning type questions and issues. The ERC has been busy working on the Hamlet guidelines, location, gateway districts, and definitions, and we're pretty close to presenting the town board with the Hamlet and Gateway District proposed zoning amendments that we've been working on. I'm working on gathering the fees and schedules information for the surrounding towns to compare the fees that they charge, to compare it with what we're charging in Princetown. I have information from a few towns, but not all the towns have the information posted on their website, so I need to make some phone calls to get the rest of the information. And I think Heather needs her own category. We know she's been working extra hard during her last 2 weeks here on E-code and also tidying up the planning department and town issues, and she's been a tremendous asset for the town.
Very good. Doug, anything for Laura? Joe?
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks, Laura. So what do you think, probably another 2 weeks of fee schedules?
Yeah, I just have to get the information back.
All right. Cool. Loretta?
Last, the agenda meeting, you guys asked that Bob and I expedite the handbook changes, and he couldn't be here tonight, but we did speak and agreed that we're going to edit out the markup version that we committed to, so here it is. And it has highlights. And the suggestion is, because there's a lot of open items that we need to input on, that we give it to you tonight and give you 2 weeks to read it and then come back and the feedback. Cool. This one's for Bob. The sections that are in normal type were from the existing handbook. You'll see there's a lot of italics, which is additional sections that we noticed were missing from the handbook, and to bring it up to date with current label. Some of the information I had from my background in corporate America, but I also looked at Gilderland and the Town of Indian Lakes handbook, some things relative to town specific. We are very small, so we're not regulated by FML, family medical leave, and some of the other policies, but we suggested to put in things like bereavement leave that we didn't have. So we need you to really determine what should be in there and not. And those sections are italics is the new section, and the highlights, things in yellow, or the version like you have, the one in shading, would be where we need the town board to actually make a decision on should it stay and what it should say. Simple things like what are the formal hours, and there were things in the original handbook that I'm not sure are relevant anymore, and we took out the benefits piece as Bob noted 2 days last time. You can either just mark them up and give them back to me, and I can consolidate all the edits, or we can have a separate meeting. I don't know how you want to proceed.
I'd like to address it, well,
The next agenda meeting, we could spend,
which is the June one, and then technically, I mean, we're supposed to be off in our agenda meetings for July and August, but we have to change that.
I don't think it's that complicated. A lot of it's just a decision, yes or no, in or out, we want to do this, we not want to do that. But it was things that, obviously, I didn't have the authority or all the information to make the decision, and neither did Bob. It was things that you have to decide.
No, this is great. So obviously you retyped the whole thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The section on the classification of employment, Mike, I could probably use your help. It has a combination of what we used to have in the handbook, so what the town thought, and then civil service law is in there. Same thing with corrective action or discipline. It had what the town had been in there originally, and civil service law. I don't know if we both, that's the kind of thing that the town board should decide. Maybe we just civil service law or
So can we touch base on the benefits again, that section? Or did you say you took it out?
No, what Bob was proposing last time we spoke is that part-time employees would not be eligible for any paid time off.
Okay,
So right now, it's in there as full-time employees, defined as over 35 hours.
are we defining, are we defining here?
Right, as over 35 hours, and that would be the only positions that would be eligible for pay time off. And I put in there the accruals that were in the handbook before, but it's defined as part-time hours, and I don't know what that means. I don't know if anybody knows what it means, or how many hours that is, or, those are kind of things I need input on.
Yeah,
And then, there's no information in the handbook about health and dental benefits. I think we used to, or we provided to some.
so, yeah, I mean, we can talk about that, because, you know, I'd like to, not that I understand what Obamacare is bringing to the table, but at some point, I'm sure that's what's gonna come to the table. I don't know, and then,
It's here.
It's
Okay.
here, yeah, right. And the exchanges are available, so we could put in there that, you know, we could give some money towards full-time employees towards that, or the answer is we don't provide benefits. You're not required by law to provide benefits, go find it on the exchange.
yeah, I think some of the exchanges would actually, you know, might even be cheaper to give them a stipend or something to pay off some of it. But, all right,
And there's things in there that we didn't have that are required by law that I added. So those aren't highlighted because they're not optional, but bereavement leave is optional.
no, thank you.
So however you want to do it, if you want to mark them all up, I can consolidate with initials next to it.
What do you suggest would be the effective way to do this? To have at a town board meeting, you could kind of be the,
My suggestion would be
Moderator.
that if you guys read it over, it's not that long, you can read it. I don't think you need to read all the detail on the civil service definitions, because that's just the law, and Mike can take care of that piece. But the shading, if you just want to read it, think about it, and have an answer, we probably could do it in 20 minutes live in the agenda meeting.
Mhm.
And if that doesn't work, then we can do it otherwise. I think it'd be pretty expedient. It's not, the decisions are not that great. Because a lot of the information is, I was very direct on what I think should be in there based on standard practice, other towns, other companies that are normal, plus what had been in the handbook before. For example, we don't have a standard pay date. I think we should.
I was trying to work that into the, when we're finalizing the yearly calendar. It's like,
Right.
you know, so we're not scrambling on a Monday or a Friday for
Right,
time.
and we should have a standard date on when the time sheets are due.
Yeah,
Simple things like that. We don't currently have a confidentiality statement. We currently don't have rules for use of town resources, which I think we should. We don't currently have any social media limitations on who can speak as an agent of the town to the media. I think we should have some statement in there about that. So there's some holes in there.
yeah, no, it's all good.
Great.
Yeah, if we can, we'll talk about it in the next meeting, or the agenda meeting, if you're available.
Yes,
We have homework to do.
yes, you do.
Thank you.
Hold on. The RFPs.
Yes, they're all out. We've received one full back. We had a meeting with one gentleman, one company that we met with before. Someone else wants to meet with us. We just haven't gotten the schedules together, and I responded today about scheduling something after the state of the town.
Mm-hmm.
And, but they're coming in, and I'll consolidate them all, and at some point we have to determine what to put in front of the town board and how we're gonna do that. And one idea we had was, is looking at the first RFP, which is very intense, that maybe we contract with a consultant to just look at them all over objectively and make a recommendation. Because as you know, the models and the options are from here to there.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see what the other RFPs give us, because I think the first one was not as
He was almost all or nothing.
correct.
Yeah, it's gotta be waiting. You guys sit in the middle.
Correct, and we're looking for someone to give us the 5-year strategy, so that we can build a 5-year plan and budget that way. I think we're learning a lot through the process, that's gonna be helpful.
Yeah. It was.
But I don't think we need to go out and buy the flying Mercedes. I think a nice VW Bug would just, maybe even used,
A hybrid,
would be
yeah.
sufficient.
Yeah,
And, you know, I'm also, one of the vendors is Bass. And we've been talking about expanding the use of Bass, and it's the basis for a lot of what we do. And they provide services now to a lot of the towns for the same reason. A lot of the smaller towns in the same situation we are, so they've expanded their services.
yeah, that'd be really interesting to meet with Bass, especially if you pick up another couple modules or so, right? They're
Right, we
going
need
on.
the planning.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the records management piece, just waiting for one more piece of feedback before we can present it to the town board.
Okay.
Don't all look at Mike at the same time.
Anybody we know?
Well, we're trying to manage to his,
Yeah.
we don't want him to go over, so if you stop giving him work, he'll have time to do mine. Mine was first. Got it. Yeah, I mean, once you guys are through e-code, I think you're gonna balance. We don't need to spend money on that. We can extend the deadline.
Well, we're gonna extend anyway, right?
Right.
We're gonna do phase 2, phase 3.
Right, but I mean, even for phase one, I don't want to cost the town money for him to take his time to look at it.
We agree.
If he has some time in his.
All right, so yeah, I'd like to, final thought, and then I'll turn to the board, is, start, like I say, after the state of town, try and grab a couple of nights, before we formally hit this, the winter or summer season. Get an idea where we are, because the alerts are starting to pop up on
I know, XP.
XP, be warned, we're warning you, so. Okay, anything for Loretta, Doug? Joe?
No, thank you.
Doug, or Lou? Thanks, Loretta. I do want to take 1 second, so, and I forgot, when I started the meeting, but obviously Councilman Myers isn't here, and the councilman had a death in his family, so just want to, formally say, or let Bob know that, he's in our thoughts and our prayers, and, I hope his family rallies together and holds tight, and, can get past this and mend together, but anyway, so next time you see Bob, tell him, he's in our thoughts and our prayers, and wish him well. Okay, town clerk, anything? Most quiet? All right, town board, anything for town clerk?
No.
Joe?
No.
And, all right. All right, town council. Doug, just quick review of the month. Okay. Joe?
Oh, one thing, yeah, what about that, the thing they do after school's out for the kids? You were supposed to, somebody's supposed to get back to me, tell me who I gotta contact in Dwaynesburg.
I'll make a note and call. I have to go back to emails and some notes, but,
'Cause I know the one that did it, I think last year, I don't think she's on the town board anymore.
Gene Frisbee?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gene Frisbee, and I don't remember the second person's name, but I think she's actually on the rescue squad down there, or ambulance unit, but. Okay, Waynesburg, summer camp. Okay. Anything else, Doug?
No.
All right. Mr. Joe?
Okay, yes, I have some concerns. And it involves E-code. And I made copies of a little talking sheet here that I want to walk through, and for those, I think there's some left on the table there, but I wanted to kind of bring the whole concept of E-code clearly to the minds of folks in town so that they understand what it is and why we're doing it. And I start my first experience with any kind of formal documentation was in my career at GE. And in the aircraft engine business, the helicopter engines had tech manuals that were that thick, literally, for the helicopter engines. And every customer, whether it was the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, or just civilian flight lines, they all had a numbered copy of that tech manual. And I know for myself, I was a customer service engineer in Lynn, Mass. And I held the one for Lynn on my desk. And every quarter, the technical publications department would give a half-inch thick set of revisions to that tech manual. And I would have to go through it because it was a numbered copy in my name and take out, okay, page 832. And you scratch out superseded by and do that. It would take me a half a day, 3/4 of a day to get the job done. But when it was done, the manual was up to date. And every tech rep in the flight lines throughout the world had to do the same thing. If they didn't do it, their manual wasn't up to date. All right. So that's fine. That's GE, that's aircraft engines, all of that. But the whole point is that that numbered copy of the tech manual was a controlled document. GE was very concerned about that. Now we move over into just the real world, the center column there. If we look at the end customer as the result, and say it was excavator dump like Larned, you have all kinds of dump trucks, and excavators, and front end loaders. Lou, doing the trucking business, you know, you got diesel engines, hydraulic systems, you got all of that stuff. Fire departments, the same thing, all these equipments. So when you go back to the equipment manufacturers, whether they're diesel engines, transmissions, pumps, hydraulic, fuel systems, okay, they ship an operation and maintenance manual to their customers, usually with the equipment. And then when the customer has a failure of a fuel pump somewhere, they go to the old operation maintenance manual and check it out. Now, depending on whether or not the equipment manufacturers kept their customers supplied with up-to-date O&M manuals, which they may or may not do, when you, the customer, goes to refer to that, you may or may not be looking at an up-to-date copy of that manual. So that operation and maintenance manual would be an uncontrolled manual, which doesn't make it bad, it just makes, you don't really know if you're looking at the latest and greatest. Now slide over to the town of Princetown on the right column. If we start off at the bottom and say, who are the customers of our local laws, it would be the town employees like the planner, the code enforcement officers, the building inspectors, the assessor, and all the citizens in town. If we want to see what the laws are, we have to go to our local laws. The town board sits at the top of that food chain, and when the way the process of our local laws work is that the town board updates and revises periodically the laws, and this is maintained by the town clerk. Usually, in the past, the town laws were stored in unnumbered loose leaf binders. Okay? And that, by definition, is an uncontrolled document. So, in that old system, when the planner, the code enforcement officer, the building inspector, the assessor actually refer to the code, the local laws, that's the whole body of them, they don't know if they're looking at the latest or greatest. Myself, as a member of this town board last year, 2013, when we started off with the E-code project, the people in Rochester contacted me and said, we have laws here that refer to a junk car law, and we have laws that refer to a sanitation ordinance, but we don't have it. And so I went to our code enforcement officer, Dan Marciniak, and he said, oh, you don't have one? And he gave me this loose leaf binder that didn't have any tabs in it or anything. They did have some yellow sheets separating things, but the junk car law wasn't in there. So I had to get copies from Dan Marciniak, who had it in his loose leaf binder. So this is an illustration of how having uncontrolled documentation of something as important as our local laws, it's not a good thing. So enter E-code. Now, you have the same set of customers at the bottom of the chain, and you got the same at the top. Except now, when the town board updates or revises a local law, it's fed into this E-code system. And it's a computer system. Norm mentioned it kind of nicely, referring to the court system. But, so, the only difference between the old way and the new way is that we don't put the revised copies or the new laws into a loose leaf binder. We put it into this E-code system. And the final customers then, whether it's the planners, code enforcement, the building inspector, the assessor, or any citizen in town, can now reference that law, that set of laws, in a controlled manner. They are now, every law on the books in Princetown, New York, are controlled. And if you or I or the planner or anybody refers to a law, they know with confidence that it is the latest revision that we have. And so, you know, I've been hearing some confusion about this, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that we're not trying to change the laws, which doesn't mean we can't do a little tweaking here. And one of the tweaks that we made or talked about was to your thing about the cost of our fee, you know. And by taking our local laws as we go into E-code and taking out the dollar values of each local law and putting them on a fee schedule that the town board can revise or approve at our organizational meetings in the first of the year, or anytime during the year, actually. We can change it by resolution. We don't have to go through the process of a public hearing to change a law and everything. So this is a tweak that I think is going to really streamline the way we do business in Princetown. And I'm, if anybody's got questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. Because if there's any confusion about it, I want to dispel that now. So, short of that, I know this is kind of a busy document, but I tried to just, because I can tell you what happened in GE was I had this job in 1997, 98, and it was a paper system. After I left customer support, GE streamlined it by putting it on the GE intranet, they called it. And now, all of those tech reps down on the flight lines or on aircraft carriers or wherever they were, now go online, bingo, they've got the tech manual. And they don't have to do those quarterly revisions of swapping pages in and out. And I know that that is a very effective tool. And And I know that E-code is exactly that for Princetown. And for us to move to that direction, man, it's the way to go. And so if there's any questions, Lou, Doug, I mean, anybody.
Can I make a comment?
Yes,
I worked in payroll for over 20 years, and we had the same system that GE had to update payroll procedures for all the different states. We had to, and Loretta was in human resources, same thing. We had the paper system, and when you go to the electronic copy, you have the advantage of everybody is looking at the exact same copy. You know, I remember going to planning board meetings a couple years ago. Some people had the 2006 zoning law, some people had a 2003.
that's right.
I think something, and everybody had different copies, and everybody's saying, well, why are we all looking at different copies? And with something like this, we're all gonna be all on the same page over all the departments.
That's right.
So it's a great system.
And it's not that the old system didn't work. It's just that there were opportunities for error. If somebody
Right.
didn't make the swap out of the quarterly revisions, you know.
So the old system didn't work because those updates and swaps weren't being made. There was no system to distribute any of the updates.
Here
I've
now.
I've had that binder for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I filled that pocket under the front cover and unfilled it probably 10 times. And a lot of that stuff never made it into the book.
Yeah.
So I thought you did a great job articulating why we need it. Those were excellent analogies that you made. And yeah, I never really thought about it being an uncontrolled versus controlled document. It's got to be a controlled document, and we're way overdue for it.
Yes.
So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Bob?
A comment/question. So once we implement this E-code, there will not be any paper copies?
No, no.
No.
Part of our contract with general code is that the town clerk will have an official copy with others. You know, we haven't determined the final number yet, but there will be official copies, hard copies, for people who don't have computers. We don't want to make this inaccessible to folks who don't have that.
You're saying it's not available via the web to print?
Well, sure.
All right, so
You want to
then
print it out yourself.
Yeah.
But we have told general code that we want, part of this package is that we have to have, what do we say, 5 copies?
5 or 7, yeah, something like
But, you know, and that will be, and it'll be stamped, because I know at GE, I keep going back to GE, but this is a real world example. If now, because we have electronic access to all of these technical manuals, if you have a paper copy of something, GE automatically on the bottom says, this paper copy is not valid unless, you know, it's just, it can't be verified that it's the latest revision.
And the E-code version will be linked off of our website, or?
Yeah, well, not our website.
Yeah, there'll be a link that brings you to general code website.
Right.
Linked off of our
Right.
website?
Right.
Okay.
So it's gonna be, just the demonstrations that we've seen from general code. Like, for example, if we wanna check out dog laws, well, what does Gilliam say about barking dogs? Or what does Rotterdam say? Or what does East Overshoot, west of Syracuse have to say? If they're on there, you can go and do a comparative search and check out dog laws. You can check out zoning. I mean, to me, the advantages are manifold. And I'm just very enthusiastic about this, and I think that it will bring Princetown up to a new level of efficient operation, so.
John, I want to also make one comment, and I think for the planning and zoning boards, we often will be sitting up there and an applicant will come in and, you know, There was something about driveways, say for instance, and, oh, okay, I know there was something with driveway in the subdivision, there's something with driveways in the zoning, and we're there flipping through pages, trying to find this stuff. With electronic, somebody sits up there with a laptop, you put the keyword in driveway, it'll bring up everything to do with driveways in our code, and make it instantly accessible to us and see
Yeah.
what it is exactly we're looking for. I mean, we've come up against that so many times where we know, somebody knows they've read that somewhere, where is it? We can't quite find it. And that's just gonna be so valuable to us and help us move these processes along.
Yeah. And to this board. I mean,
Yeah.
For us, I don't have an up-to-date copy that I'm confident is the latest and greatest. And this is what I have. So having it this way is gonna be a real step forward for every one of us. And Doug, I know you're not a computer guy, but we're gonna have hard copies. And you can have your own hard copy. If that's, we'll make that part of the deal so that you are not left out. And the point is not to have any of the citizens of town left out. And, no.
Can I ask you a question about the hard copies? Can you actually have them put as, this hard copy as of such and such a date?
Of course.
So at least anybody who has a hard copy
That's right.
can, if they want to check with Sandy in the town clerk's office to see if that's the latest version.
So
at least they'll know that there has been no changes at that point.
Yeah, as of such and such.
Such a date, okay.
So we need to get back on it.
Well, just to that point, if I could, on the E-code versions of the hard copies of the books, each page has a date. So that whenever a page is updated, you'll know whether you have the latest page in the proper place.
Thanks, that's all I have unless there's no questions.
Nice graph, Joe. You do like that, that's excellent.
Thanks.
All right. Councilman Lou.
The state police, we've got the 3 estimates to replace the roof. We should be voting on it at the next meeting. I've got all 3 copies. We can open them up and then award the contract to whoever's the lowest bidder. They repaired the lights, been repaired at the state police barracks. I did get an estimate. Sergeant Donato was written up for some problems that they have at the state police with the flooring. I did get some bids here. I can hand them out from one, so everybody can see them, what they are, what they consist of. 3 different problems that they have there. One is in the hallway, one is in their communication room that used to be their communication room, and one is in their locker room.
What's VCT?
It's a tiles. Those are the tiles that they put down as opposed to carpeting.
Okay. Fine.
So we've got the 3 estimates on that. He's more concerned with the hallway, more so than the communication room. It's not gonna be cheap to do this. We're probably gonna have to do it before the end of the year. The garage, I got 1 estimate to redo the garage floor, the drainage in there. I'm gonna get 2 more estimates. We've got a pretty low estimate to do it and fix it the right way. George is continually pumping this out. We have to get him over there. Every time it rains to pump out the garage, it's been an ongoing problem for, I don't know, since the town purchased that building. I did get an estimate for next year for windows. They're supposed to be replaced next year. I'll get 2 more estimates for that. They lock it in for a year, so we should have the estimates for that to be done the following year. The town hall, the Harry that takes care of the lawns for us, has told me that there's a lot where they plowed up. There's blacktop into the lawn. And is what he'd like to do is, and there's ruts in it, he'd like to get some fill and fill in the ruts and remove all of the blacktop, chunks of blacktop that's in there on the lawn. He's gonna give me an estimate to do that, to get a load of fill, and he'd take care of it. I'm also gonna get an estimate over here from probably True Chem, or True Green, whatever it is over here. The lawns out here look terrible. It's not because of Harry taking care of them, they're just loaded with weeds, and to me, for the town hall to have lawns like that is it's not a good sight. I think that we should do something about the lawns here, and I'm gonna get some estimates on it, and I'll have it for you next meeting. There's some problem with, I don't think it's termites, but I did get a hold of a couple pest control companies that are gonna come in and give us an estimate over here to see what, there's some dirt over here. I just think it's, because this is on a slab, there's only dirt coming up, but I could be wrong, ants or whatever. Mary Sue was asked if she could put up window shields, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the civic committee.
The civic committee wants to put up some window shields, says the birds keep hitting the windows. I don't see any problem with that, so I told her to go ahead and do it.
And that's just in the vestibule, on the sides.
And I talked to Pilot today, called their corporate offices. Apparently there's something wrong with their computer, because they couldn't send an email, but they faxed it over here. We can purchase fuel from them. And I'm talking for our water commissioner, or any fuel that has to be purchased with a fuel card. And we would be able to be exempt from the state and federal taxes, if I'm not mistaken, because we're a municipality. They sent the application here. I've got them here. I think they faxed them over to Sandy. And I'd like to ask the town board if we can go ahead and apply for a fuel card there. It would be a saving to save money. There's an application for it, but I think that, yeah, it's I think it would be a good thing to do that. I don't know how we would work it out with George or anybody that has to buy fuel over here, but to have a card and not be able to be tax exempt on fuel like the schools are and like every other municipality is, I think would be a good thing. So I don't know how the town board feels about.
Saving money?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking of doing over here, if I get the word for it. We have to file I could be wrong with what he told me, is a W-9 tax exemption form. And we'd be billed however we want to set it up, every 2 weeks, monthly. The problem is when you deal with these companies over here, when you do that, you have to pay them when it's due. There's no, a late thing. If not, they just cut you right off.
You
That's the
don't
way it's
pay
worked.
it, huh?
No, you don't pay it. You just show you have a credit card, but it goes in. Once you get the bill, it's a 2-week pay or a 3-week pay or 4, whatever you set it up, and it has to be paid. I don't know if they take it out of your account. I know with trucking companies, that's the way it works. You have to have the money in your account and they just withdraw it. With them, I don't know how, he said they can arrange it any way we want to do it. But I'd like to know if the town board is in favor of it.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
I missed the meeting for the, I've been involved through organization I'm on a board of directors for Missouri for a trucking. And I was invited to freight corridor meeting over here in Albany, DOT. I've attended 4 meetings now. I missed the last one because of, I was in Missouri for a board meeting all week. But I've been bringing it up to them. They're looking for problems in the area about this intersection over here at the Pilot truck stop. And they made some suggestions, and Mike brought it up too. That might be an idea. They wanted to do a study on this to redesign this intersection. Pilot does own the other side of that, if I'm not mistaken, Doug. I think you're right, after speaking with them. So there's probably gonna be another truck stop on the other side of that. Something's gotta be done with this intersection. Is what he had suggested to me, DOT, their regional director, is because they wanted to fund the study to do this, and they were looking for some money from the town and from Rotterdam to do this study on redesigning this intersection. I explained it to him, I sent him an email back after we talked at the meeting, and he said that, I told him the same problem we have as every other town, we don't have the money to do this. He suggested, and Mike brought this up, and he suggested the same thing, that maybe we can get a hold of Ray Gillen, have him ask Price Chopper, meet with him, maybe Price Chopper and Galisi might be interested. It could be a benefit to them to help on this study to redesign this intersection over here. So at the next meeting, when I attended, it's a quarterly meeting, and it's quite helpful to attend this meeting because they're redesigning. This is a freight corridor movement for the 4 counties: Saratoga, Albany, Schenectady, and Troy, and problems that are arising, and all of the projects that are going to be done to improve the highway systems around the Capital District. Their biggest one is going to be around the Albany Airport right now. But since I've been pushing them on this issue over here with this truck stop and the problems we have here, they're very concerned about it, and they're willing to look at doing a study to redesign the intersection. Since we had this McLean problem and what's been going on with that, so hopefully maybe we can set up a meeting with Ray Gillen. Maybe we can get some money to matching funds from the Golovs and Galisi to help. I know we don't have that kind of money to help with it. They were going to fund, I think, 80% of it. The state was to do.
It was an 80-20 match.
Was 80? Yeah, I think that's what it was. That's right, yeah, I gave you the information on it. So it's 80%, and they were going to, we had to come up with the rest, Rotterdam. But I'm sure Rotterdam's not interested in it, so I didn't even contact them.
The 20% was gonna be split between Rotterdam and
Right.
Princetown. That's how the discussion we had was
Right,
the last go round.
right. So, but like I said, we don't have that kind of money, so maybe Ray Gillen can squeeze some of it out of,
I think you're spot on, Luke, I really do. I mean, especially because, obviously you're the expert. But to me, the Golub and CSX and whoever the other guys are down there in that park, it would be a win-win. If we can fix that, it'd be a win for everybody. So, I say push on.
well, see if we can see if we can get a hold of Ray Gillen, maybe we can do something with this. I know that I was supposed to set up a meeting with him, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, but I just haven't gotten back with him on it. But there was one other thing too. I spoke with somebody from DOT. They're redoing the laws. Can't remember what it was now. It had something to do with the upgrading our codes too, that are coming out within the next year.
Building.
Yes. Yes, they're redoing the codes for building. That's right, I talked to you about it.
Through the state.
Yeah, it's through the state. They're in the process of upgrading them codes, so they won't be done until after January. They're only planning stages now.
It's amazing how great minds think about the state of Princetown.
But anyway,
There's a leak.
that's where we stand on all that. So the fuel card, if everybody wants to go for it. And I know George is the one who uses the most of it, so it's the only thing we use it for is gas for the lawnmowers.
Well, it might be. I mean, it might be actually because there's still some conversations, and I know you were thinking for a hybrid 4x4 or something, but, maybe just, purchasing George's truck, and that way, there's no mileage anymore. We take your credit card and, just use it as required. So, yeah, it's a good thing.
Well, when you stop and think that, I think it's 17 cents federal gas tax plus the state and your local taxes over here on it, it'd be quite a savings. When you actually see the price of fuel, what the actual cost of the fuel is as opposed to what you're paying at the pump. Of course, New York being the highest, but there's a tremendous difference in price, what the actual price is. And the schools and I even called the county highway department and asked them if they would do it, and if we could purchase the fuel from them, and they thought about it, and Joe Ryan said no, it would be too much of a problem to do that for us.
Great report.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Doug, anything for Lou?
No.
Joe?
Nope.
All right, me neither. That's excellent, Joe, or Lou. So, yeah, we push on to Mr. Gillum, and we can set up with, what you say, Galisi, or, those other guys down in the park down there. That'd be huge. Okay, for myself, I'll start picking up the pace here a little bit. So when Judge Miller moved on to being the judge, he was attending the UCC committee meetings. So I'm looking for a volunteer to start attending the meetings. As you know, we have a voting percentage in the management of the UCC. So I'm hoping somebody can volunteer to start coming through and just to start attending the meetings in lieu of Norm's.
You got board members?
We just need representatives, yeah.
That'd be interesting.
All right. So,
How often does it meet?
once a month or so.
It has been meeting once a month, and I'm looking here for the latest email.
Yeah, and I'll forward that to Joe.
They're having
Kickoff, very
an
groundbreaking.
open house. Is it Thursday?
Yeah.
I think it's this Thursday.
Over on Hamburg Street?
Yes. It had been meeting once a month, but now that they're pretty much completed, I don't know how busy they will be.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Next piece, I'm gonna set up a staff meeting with the staff, obviously. I just want to continue to work with the staff as far as developing processes and procedures. Try to make things as a little more efficient as possible. We have some open actions on the action register, so I want to just meet with the staff, the chairs, and move, a couple of the items forward. Paul, I made a note on the ZRC. I don't know if you want to give a 2-second or 2-minute update on the ZRC, but I know you guys have been hard at it, so.
Yeah, we're basically pretty much finished with the Hamlet portion and the Gateway overlay. And we're going to go over it one last time at the meeting on the 27th. And then we'll be ready to submit it to the other boards and to yourself, the legal. And we're going to move on from that to look at basically Route 7 and commercial C1 and C2. Otherwise, basically, the agenda for the ZRC is set in the comprehensive plan. That's chapter 14 in the comp plan. And the only change we made to that was because of the moratorium, we wanted to get to the Hamlet district first and to resolve those problems. Otherwise, the rest of it's all kind of laid out there.
No big deal. I encourage the board to participate and come in and listen to the committee formulate their.
Absolutely, we're all open, and other than the fact that 3 of you can't come, we would certainly appreciate your input.
We can just kind of walk in and out of the room.
You can. Don't leave the hallway.
All right, I know we're running late now, so you have the action registers attached to it, to the agenda tonight, so it's pretty well updated. You know, some stuff is kind of idle, but we are moving forward on other items. So, you know, we do have some due dates. We actually closed another item here. Recycling policy, that's closed. So we're moving forward on that. Lillian's here. I actually meant to call you today and ask you and Denise to give a report, but I forgot, so I apologize, sorry.
All right. Well, nobody told me.
No, I was just really busy at work. I meant to give you a call and ask if, you know, Denise could come in and, you know, give a report in the mail and get started, but.
I know she loves the job. I think that there's been some issues, you know, since we've been back, but hopefully they'll all be worked out, you know. I heard today, for example, that she, I don't know if it's true, but she tells me that she jammed the machine for the shredder, so I'm saying, oh God, you know. But she said, I didn't do it on purpose, I put too many papers in. Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's what happened.
So she was a little bit upset, and Mom was a little bit upset. I said, you know, you were told to put 2 in, you just put 2 in. So hopefully, you know, work out.
It's good she's back, we welcome her, and, you know,
I think it's you know, for us personally as a family, I mean, I think that it's a great thing that the town is doing this. I mean, everybody I talk to seems to have, the residents and everything, seems to think that it's a great thing. And I think for her to be given that opportunity is really a great thing. You know, she does have a disability, and I know that Sandy and Isla and them are all working, you know, to make her successful, and that's a great thing too. And you, so.
And we're happy to have her.
And we appreciate it.
well, in case I forget to call you next month, I'll ask you now if, you know, Denise can come in and give a report.
Sure,
You know,
I
great.
love it.
Yeah. Thanks, Elaine. I'll go through a couple things here. I'm sure if you saw that next Tuesday night is the Chalmont school vote on raising taxes. Oh, wow, they used to run the budget, but this so happens to be a raise too. Remind the town, next Tuesday night, the state of the town, so I'll be starting this probably tomorrow. And working over the weekend to get the charts ready, but looking forward to working with the extended team on putting the charts together and our 3rd annual state of the town, so hopefully it'll be interesting. Again, I want to touch base with Heather. She's done some great stuff. I mean, not only across the board with E-code, but, you know, some of the processes and procedures that, you know, we're working closely with Loretta, Pat, Sandy. You know, one of the biggest items for me, and still is, and I'd like to get this accomplished pretty quickly, is the billing process for planning board and zoning board. As you know, we've got a couple applicants that are sitting out there, some serious cash that hasn't been billed, but some of the problem I think was because it was we weren't able to invoice. So I'm trying to work with Heather and the team to develop a process so that at the end of every planning board, at the end of every zoning board, we say, here's the charges for last month for applicant A, give it to Sandy, and Sandy bills them right away, and then we work off a spreadsheet, so we have a running account and what's going on. And hopefully, once we develop a process and we get maybe the VAS module, then we can just incorporate that into it. So again, so the money's, you know, in and out, in and out, in and out, and it's right on top of it. So, you know. So we're working on that, and hopefully we'll finish that up here in a little bit. So.
Like by next Tuesday would be great.
Yeah, next Tuesday. So it's gonna be a crazy week. So with that, I think that's all I have for this afternoon or this evening. Doug, anything for me or questions, concerns?
Well, when are you having, were you planned for You know, what you just said,
State of town?
Yes.
Well, a week from tonight, sorry, the 20th.
a week from tonight.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, and Ben, I double checked with you already, right?
So what's the date there, a week from tonight? Next week?
20th.
Yeah, I'll be there. Same time?
Same bad time. Yep. Anything else, Doug?
No.
Joe?
No, doing a great job, Mike.
Luke? All right, let's move on to business. So I kind of rearranged some of the stuff here for some of the residents, trying to get some of the business out of the way and then get to the E-code a little bit towards the end. Is this a different one? I only got two then. Okay, organizational notes.
Skipped one.
Oh, minutes approval, sorry, thank you. Do I have a motion that the minutes from the April 8th, 2014 Town Board meeting and the minutes from the April 22nd Town Board Agenda meeting be approved?
I'll make the motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Councilman Lou?
Yes.
Councilman Doug?
Yes.
Councilman Joe?
Yes.
And Joyce, yes. Organizational notes, an amendment to the ZRC committee secretary. There was a 9 or 14 cent change here as far as the minimum rate, so we want to just amend the resolution to reflect the actual pay. So do I have a motion that Town Board of Town of Princetown approves the following amendment to Resolution 14-82 from the Town Board of the Town of Princetown appoints Mary Sue Reed as the Zoning Review Committee Secretary at a rate of $14.75 per hour for a term to expire on 12/31/14 to read as follows. That the Town Board for the Town of Princetown appoints Mary Sue Reed as Zoning Review Committee Secretary at a rate of $14.96 an hour for a term to expire on 12/31/14, retroactive back to January 28th, 2014. That last piece I had to add in because I missed it on the initial.
Who was the secretary before, Mason?
Darla.
Oh, she resigned?
Yeah. There was too many chairs, or too many, and she was going to school.
I'll make the motion.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lou. Councilman Lou?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilman Brzezinski?
Yes.
And Joyce is a yes. ZBA Committee Secretary. We had Mary Sue working in the ZBA, but since she's on the committee, she can't do both, so this one, and because it's a pretty frequent committee, Darla just said she'd be able to start and acting as secretary. So do I have a motion as hereby resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Princetown appoints Darla Galata as the Zoning Board of Appeals Secretary at a rate of $14.96 per hour, effective date January 28th, 2014, and for a term to expire on 12/31/14.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Joe. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Doug. Councilman Lou?
Yes.
Councilman Doug?
Yes.
Councilman Joe?
Yes.
Joyce, yes. Lawn maintenance, for 2014, I know Councilman Lou, I talked about it briefly during his review. So, just to make it official then, do I have a motion is hereby resolved that the Town Board, the Town of Princetown hereby appoints Harry Boley to maintain the Princetown Town Hall and State Police Barracks lawns for the 2014 summer season at a rate of $25 an hour with a maximum of $100 per cutting. Thank you, Lou. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Joe. Councilman Esposito?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilman Brzezinski?
Yep.
Joyce, yes. General funds claims, don't forget you guys need to sign. General fund claim for 2014, abstract number 5, is hereby resolved, the town board of the town of Princetown approves claims 108 to claim 141 in the amount of $30,880.41. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Lou. Councilman
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilman Krasinski?
Yes.
And Joyce, yes. Just for the residents who are especially in attendance, again, we attached the abstracts to the agenda, so it gives you an idea of what we're actually paying on these bills and these claims. So you can kind of go through and see, what we're paying. For example, 134 is Gazette, 135 is Weekly Industries, who the people who do our floors, obviously Verizon, so trying to be as little or as open as possible, so everyone knows where we're spending the money. Water fund claims for 2014, abstract number 5. Do I have a motion, or is hereby resolved that the town board approves claims 36 to claim 50 in the amount of $3,309.85?
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Lou. Councilman Esposito?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilman Krasinski?
Yes.
Joyce is a yes. General fund transfers for 2014. We need to transfer some funds. So as normally, we put the amount in there from which line from which line to the to line and the reason for the change. Do I have a motion? It's hereby resolved, the town board approves the following transfers. $657 from the bookkeeper professional services to the bookkeeper supply line for stipends and supplies for E-code. $306 from the town clerk equipment line, 14102 to the town clerk supply line of 14104 for a bass upgrade. $3 from the contingency fund, 19904 to supply line for E-code of 814. And then $46 from the contingency fund for the unemployment line of 90508. The claims are actually already going over the budget. And as you guys know, or I'll just give reminders, we don't have unemployment insurance, so whatever we have to pay, we have to pay.
Might want to point out what BAS is, BAS upgrade.
I'm not sure what BAS actually stands for.
Business automated system.
So it's actually the software that runs a lot of the assessor, there's the town clerk module, the code enforcement,
And there's also a planning module.
and a planning module. We want to try if we can work with them, maybe during the RFP process of getting the billing module placed in there, so we can again track our invoicing to our applicants a little bit closer. Anyway, for the general funds transfer, do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lou. Councilman Esposito?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilman Krasinski?
Yes.
And Joyce is a yes. Highway claims, it's for Overlook Lane, so it's for the winter plowing and salting of Overlook Lane. So as normal, we have to approve the claim and then do the transfer into to the highway line. Highway claims 2014, do I have a motion? It's hereby resolved, the town board approves claim number 2 in the amount of $1,695 for 2014 maintenance road repairs. It's actually for Overlook Lane. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Thank you. Councilman Lou?
Yes.
Councilman Doug?
Yes.
Councilman Krasinski?
Yes.
And Joyce, yes. And now the transfer. Highway transfer 2014, do I have a motion? It's hereby resolved, the town board approves the transfer of $1,695 from account 99019 to account number 5031 for 2014 maintenance road repairs. It's actually, again, Overlook Lane. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Second. Thank you, Lou. Councilman Esposito.
Yes.
Councilman Gray.
Yes.
Councilman Drzezinski.
Yes.
And Joyce is a yes. Well, we look for the next resolution. My gosh.
I'm so impressed.
So, again, we want to acknowledge everything that Heather's done in her, her short term and stay here in the town of Princetown. And again, especially for myself, Heather, I mean, you've helped a ton. Not that everybody else in town doesn't help me, because they all do. But I know you put a lot of time and effort into this, and just want to say thanks. So we've put together this resolution, and so I'll read it for everybody. So it's hereby resolved, whereas the town of Princetown acknowledges the 900+ hours that Heather Erwiller has invested in our community in 2014, and in particular her efforts with the E-Code project, and whereas Heather has generously shared her knowledge of and expertise in government processes and requirements with the Planning Board, the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Zoning Review Committee, and in particular the Town Board, and whereas small local governments like Princetown's greatly benefit from individuals like Heather who possess high levels of integrity, commitment, and ability, and whereas Heather, much to her surprise, actually enjoyed the 2014 New York State winter season while completing her master's degree in planning at the University of Albany and holding down 2 jobs. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Princetown formally acknowledges its gratitude and thanks to Heather Erwiller and declares Friday, May 16, 2014, Heather Erwiller Day in the town of Princetown. Excellent job.
You're gonna print me this, right?
We're
On nice
actually-
paper and everything?
So actually, do I have a motion?
I will make that motion with pleasure.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Lou. Councilman Esposito.
Yes.
Councilman Gray.
Yes.
Councilman Drzezinski.
Yes.
And Joyce is a yes. So we actually do have a document.
Wow, and everything? I'm
And
impressed.
everything. I do need to ask the board to sign it.
Had they didn't do that yourself? No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a red pen, sorry.
So again, Heather, thank you for everything. I think everybody's driven by town and seen your cars here on Saturdays and Sundays. It's a nice pen, though.
And I would like to just add on the heaps of praise we're giving, that Heather has been absolutely key in bringing E-Code to a level of understanding, and her experience in town government has just been invaluable. Can't say enough. And I salute you, young lady.
And what do we got that Florida does have? Besides winter.
I don't think you want me to.
Thanks, Heather. All right, we need to wait for Mr. Myers, but we do have an official certificate for you.
So can I have like 2 minutes?
Yes, please.
All right, so I just want to say a couple of things. It has been a pleasure getting to know everybody here in town that I've got the chance to work with, including some of the residents who've come in. It's been a pleasure. It's rare that you get an opportunity to work with a town who has such motivated volunteers, and it's been a real pleasure to do this. It's kind of a bittersweet time for me. I am going to be transitioning back to Florida to my job that is the job that I came from. So I will miss Princetown immensely. I won't miss the weekends, but I will miss Princetown. But I want to thank everybody for everything that you guys have helped me move things along, and you really made me enjoy municipal planning all over again. I've just fallen back in love with it, so I'm really appreciative of that. Thanks very much.